In today's video, we are doing a quick spring refresh here in my family room, but instead of pulling out all of the typical seasonal decor like bunnies and carrots, I'd like to show you how designers actually approach seasonal styling. Welcome back to Lifestyle with Melanie Graves, where I share stylish and creative ideas to help you do what makes you happy in your home. I am so excited that spring is springing here in beautiful Tampa. And today I wanted to give you a couple of insights on how designers actually style for seasonal styling. One of the things I've learned over the years is that you can make your home feel like it's styled for a season without it feeling overly decorated for that season. Designers call these seasonal cues. They're subtle changes in texture and color and styling that signal the season without using very obvious pieces for styling. And the best part about all of this is that you can usually do it by styling what I call touch points. These are the everyday places in your home that you see. So think your sofa, think your coffee table, maybe if you have a mantle. Those are the areas that we'll focus on. So to start things off this year, I picked up a few new pieces to refresh this space. Nothing major, but just a few things like new pillow covers, a lighter throw blanket, and a couple of styling pieces for the Ottoman coffee table. And you'll notice everything still stays within my usual neutral palette because spring doesn't have to mean pastel overload. Sometimes simply softening the palette and lightening the textures is enough to completely shift the feeling of a room. Now, if you're ever feeling stumped for inspiration at the beginning of a season, walk through your favorite showroom. I love taking a walk through Pottery Barn just to kind of see what they have on display on the floor. And this year, there were lots of neutrals. There were still some very thick blankets, but there was also lots of color. And of course, lots of varying textures, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Here's a pillow that really stood out to me though, and really got my inspiration flowing. This crane, I loved everything about this pillow cover. The textures, the blues, the crane being in Florida, it was just gorgeous. But for the cover alone, it's a $55 price point, which isn't crazy for such a beautiful piece, but I really wanted to try to challenge myself to use that as inspiration and find something more affordable. But again, a walk through a showroom is a really fun and easy way to find some inspiration for your own space. And after feeling so inspired, I popped on over to HomeSense and Home Goods to see what they had in store. And I found this gorgeous lumbar pillow. Just so beautiful. The textures and the colors, just little hints of color, really just made this piece stand out to me. I'll typically try to only do the cover, but at the price of $30, it was worth the grab, and I could always switch it out. Honestly, the filling, the stuffing wasn't that bad. I just prefer more of a down stuffing, but look at that. So right across the street, I found something very comparable for a much more affordable price. Now, moving on, one of the easiest ways to update a room for a new season is by what I mentioned earlier, which is focusing on what I call the touch points. These are the things that you interact with or see every single day. So these pillows and throws are a perfect example of that. During the winter months, we tend to leave on the heavier fabrics, the chunkier knits, the darker colors, lots of layers. But for spring, I like to lighten everything up just a little bit. I will say the blanket that I purchased is heavier than I'll typically go for in the spring, but two things. One, we're super early in the season and we're still having some decently cool evenings here in Florida. But two, this blanket had some sparkle in it that was very hard to capture on camera. But I did notice that they had one in two of the showrooms that I walked through. Pottery Barn was one of them. They had a very similar blanket. So this one was on clearance at HomeSense and I grabbed it. But overall, you want to think softer textures, lighter fabrics, and pieces that feel a little more relaxed. It's a small change, but it immediately makes a room feel very fresh and very inviting. And this is also how we use seasonal cues without maybe even being aware of it. So for spring, those cues are the lighter fabrics, the natural textures, but it's also a little more breathing room in your styling and bringing in something organic like your greenery. Whether it's fresh or faux, I will tend to do a little bit of both. I had some beautiful flowers left over from a party that I'd hosted a little bit earlier in the month. So I'm using those first, but once those are done later on in the season, I'll introduce some lovely faux greenery to complement the space. Now, my Ottoman coffee table is another one of those touch points in this room. So, this is a great place to create a small seasonal refresh. So, instead of filling it with a lot of decor, I like to keep it simple with just a few layered pieces. A tray helps anchor everything. Then, I will usually add something decorative, something organic, and maybe one functional item like a book or a candle. And typically for spring, I like to lean into natural materials, softer shapes. This keeps everything feeling light and effortless. So, this refresh was very simple, but it's a perfect example of how you can make your home feel like a new season without completely redecorating. It's just focusing on those touch points, lightening up your textures, and introducing a few subtle seasonal cues. Sometimes the smallest changes can completely transform the feeling of a space. I hope you got some valuable insights and fresh ideas to get your home ready for the upcoming season. If you did, my ask is that you give this video a thumbs up, hype it, and definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, love and peace.